Hey, good evening, everybody. Just doing a quick show tonight. Maybe it will go on a little bit longer. I'm going to take a look at a couple of really quick videos that Tom Rabbit put out earlier today. A couple people even flagged me down and were like, hey, you said something about Christian infighting. Here's a great example. I'm going to play these videos in reverse order. So Tom had posted one of them first, which is really bad. It's only about, I think it's just under 4 minutes. And then he posted the one I'm going to show you first, which is sort of a bonus footage thing for a little bit more context. I'm going to show them in the opposite order and see what people think. And then that shouldn't take very long. And I'm going to get into something that I have been putting off for way too long. It was an older Tom Rabbit video that he put out where he's talking to a Discord user named Poji. And he does some things during that discussion that are a little different. So I was going to see if I can highlight those. The beginning part of it, he gives this weird legal argument that I think I touched on in another video. Maybe I'll argue about it again, but that's not really the point. I kind of want to get into his one-on-one with her because it gets super fucked up. Hey, Red Fang, and welcome, James Henry. Welcome, everybody else who's coming in. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to play this quick video. This one, I don't know how much commentary I can do on this. I'm just going to play it more or less because I think this kind of gives some context to what's going on, but I'm not really sure. I don't know how far back Darth Dawkins and this other guy, Concrete Plus, whatever his name is, how far back their relationship goes, but we'll see. We'll just take a listen, see what happens. And please let me know in the comments if sound is goofed up or anything like that, too quiet, too loud, whatever, obviously.
This is how dumb they are. It's just, the Bible says their foolish hearts are darkened, right?
But I think
what's interesting. Shut up, Concrete.
Whoa, be nice. Whoa,
no, shut your mouth. The only reason why.
Listen.
I'm not your. Okay. Now, the reason why I told you to shut up is because you've trolled me one too many times. Okay, and I've asked you to stop trolling. I don't mind if you disagree with me, but you're not going to get away with unrelenting trolling me. Okay, so that's why you're red dotted, right? When you behave like a little bad boy over and over and over again, you have no one to blame when you have a piece of duct tape on your mouth. Now,
that's disturbing. Tom Rabbit was on earlier and he was explaining the whole attack dog mod and the fact that when that thing goes into effect, that automatically plays the sound of duct tape being unspooled. If anyone's wondering why Hannibal Lecter is the thumbnail for this particular video, by the time we get to the second Tom Rabbit video, I think you'll see why.
I had a Joe Biden moment. Where did I leave off before I was distracted by this blabbermouth Concrete?
You fell down on the tarmac.
He is an idiot. Sorry, I just have this.
I wouldn't be so harsh, but I feel that it's incumbent that we emulate Jesus when he openly rebuked and castigated the religious leaders who were claiming they were champions of truth and reason when they weren't. Okay?
Last thing before we go tonight is a new appreciation of Carl Sagan that so many people find way overdue. Armed with 4 degrees from the...
I apologize, folks. I have no idea how that happened. That was not intentional. I was actually on another tab. I don't know why that skipped forward into an MSNBC clip. Let's turn the sound back on that.
Whoa, be nice. Whoa.
No, shut your mouth. The only reason why.
I'm not your. Look.
Listen.
I'm not your.
Okay. Now, the reason why I told you to shut up is because you've trolled me one too many times. Okay, and I've asked you to stop trolling. I don't mind if you disagree with me, but you're not going to get away with.
This doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not exactly sure what trolling happened before.
That's why you're red dotted, right? When you behave like a little bad boy over and over and over again, you have no one to blame when you have a piece of duct tape on your mouth. Now, I had a Joe Biden moment. Where did I leave off before I was distracted by this blabbermouth Concrete?
You fell down on the tarmac.
He is an idiot. Sorry, I just have this.
I wouldn't be so harsh, but I feel that it's incumbent that we emulate Jesus when he openly rebuked and castigated the religious leaders who were claiming they were champions of truth and reason when they weren't. Okay?
Oh, okay. That's why. So it just bled through. Video was quicker than I thought.
As you are aware.
Get rid of that. Shut that off. And let's move on to the next one, which should be... And this is the longer one. This is where Darth really kind of cranks it up. So yeah, I guess apparently maybe that happened earlier that same day, but it sounds like clearly that Darth has a little bit of history with concrete. He's labeled him as a troll. I don't remember if he actually said in that video if he was, quote, on the list, but he mentions it in this one. So let's get that spooled up. And Tom even put a language warning on this one. There is I will say this, a little bit of a trigger warning for people. If you got anxiety issues or anything like this, the amount of man screaming happening in this thing will set your teeth on edge. It's quite irritating. So, but I'll be taking some pauses in between it to take a breather, laugh at these clowns, and maybe to provide some kind of insightful commentary. Who knows? I don't know if there's a lot of insightful commentary that anyone can add to this. We'll see.
Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
Hypotheticals are imposed, right? And I don't even mind exploring.
All right, hold on a second. I want to make a point of moderation. Hey, have a blessed day. I just put a server mute on you because you've trolled me a number of times, and now you're a mod. You need to put it back on.
I didn't troll you, first of all.
And I'm not pulling up any audio. What's going on? I hit the click box. Not sure why that's doing that. Let's pull it off. Try it again. Share audio. All right, Chrome tab. Let's go.
Hypotheticals are imposed, right? And I don't even mind exploring.
All right, hold on a second. I want to make a point of moderation. Hey, have a blessed day. I just put a server mute on you because you've trolled me a number of times, and now you're a mod. You need to put it back on.
I didn't
put it back on, or you're going to lose your...
You're in my room, bro.
Here we go.
You're doing that.
I don't know why at this part there's no volume anymore. There was volume on this earlier today. We just heard the sound play from the previous one. There's actually a couple of guys talking during this. I don't know why.
Good. You're going to lose your mods.
Go for it.
It's not coming through.
Okay,
That's weird.
Fuck off.
I'll toss to Ava Marie.
You just lost your...
Oh my god. He needs to take a break.
5 minutes later.
Al Dente, were you talking with Luca?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
why was I muted?
Okay, how did you get unmuted?
You're in my room, bro.
Okay.
I don't care. Go somewhere else.
I don't.
You're in my room, bro.
Put the mute back on.
In my room.
Put the fucking mute back on, or you're going to lose it. Listen to me very carefully.
You can't come into my room and fucking mute me, asshole.
Listen, I was never told this was your room. Where does it say it's your room?
Pause it. You guys could actually hear that? If you guys could hear that particular part, I could go back and play it again. Well, I'll keep this one going at this point. But yeah, I don't know why it wasn't coming through for me. I don't have any different sound settings. And this is coming through for me. I don't know why that particular part was quiet. I listened to this video earlier today when I was working and it came through just fine.
Fucking matter where it doesn't need to say it. It doesn't need to announce itself, you fucking asshole. Go fuck yourself.
Hey, listen. Keep trolling me.
I'm not trolling you,
and you're gonna lose your room.
Go fuck yourself.
I love this. Darth is accusing a person whose room he just entered. Right? This guy has his own thing, right, on whatever server this is. I don't know if this is politics and religion or Reformation or whatever. He's stepped in there and starts muting people, including this guy, and it's his channel. And when this guy calls him on it, he's still accusing him of trolling. Like, you walked into his room and muted him. He's not supposed to do that.
Now you're showing your true colors. Good. Okay, good. Now we're going to talk with Blackhead about this. I'm not weird.
Yeah.
You're the
and now you can hear the fruits of the spirit really really demonstrated amongst these Christian brothers here. This is why I don't believe.
Go another fucking room, asshole.
You're
Go
unhinged.
another room, asshole.
Yeah, where does it say it's your room?
It doesn't need to say it, you idiot.
Yeah, where does it say it's your room?
Just look, you're an idiot.
Yeah, where does it say it's your room?
You have a criteria.
Yeah. I don't see where it's your room.
So Darth, a guy who can sum up how old somebody seems to be behaving, like he'll figure out what your mental age is essentially being like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your name written on this seat when I took it. Like, seriously, like this is like bullying from like the late 50s, early 60s kind of thing. Like, this is real rusty, super cringy.
Where does it take your
criteria?
Here
go away.
We go again. All right,
go away.
Good. I mean, this is like, I mean, like when that wino, the obstreperous wino wanders into the into the crowd of partygoers and like, get out of here, you're in my bedroom, just fucking freaking out, like, and you got to like yell and curse at him, and like you were in the middle of the street, man.
Goodness gracious, dude. Stop muting me in my own fucking room, asshole. Go
how do I know? How do I know you're not lying?
Well, don't worry about it. That's irrelevant.
Hey,
Go somewhere
you're
else.
showing.
How does he know that Concrete's not lying? Haven't both of these people experienced revelation? Shouldn't they be aware of which one is telling the truth? Just wondering.
You see, you're actually showing your true colors. This is.
He's showing his true colors because he's offended that somebody came into his room and then muted him. But Darth's not showing his true colors by continuing to harass and abuse his mod powers in a room that does not belong to him. Neat.
This is why you got on the troll list. Okay, hey, listen, I'm not misbehaving.
Oh, really?
I think it's clear, even out of context, that Darth is misbehaving. Like, and I got no love for Concrete Plus. Like, I don't know if I've ever talked to him or not, but I've seen him. I've heard conversations he's had with other people, and I think he's another one of these kind of Discord lurking, debate me bro type Christians. So this is no skin off, off my back, teeth, whatever. I don't know where the skin needs to come from, but with these guys like killing each other over this, it's just funny. Like, this is a literal pissing match on social media between two ostensible Christians, at least self-identifying Christians, and you can just like, this is the kind of stuff that if they have these disagreements and an atheist like myself brings it up, they'll be like, no, that's an in-house matter. We discuss that amongst ourselves. Like, oh, right, yeah, like you did when you went wailing on each other right there in front of everybody on the Discord server. If this is on like Reformation or politics and religion, I'm not sure about politics and religion, but I'm pretty sure with Reformation, the number of atheists and skeptics outnumbers the number of Christians. So if anything, they should be extra careful about the stuff that they let out in the open like this.
I'm not the one who's being unhinged right now. I don't know that it's your room. I don't know that it's your room.
Well, now you know.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll find out, won't we? You see, you would have been put on the list. You would not have been put on the list had you not persistently and chronically behaved like an asshole.
That's a fucking lie.
Okay, you know what? You are a file.
Someone mentioned in this chat a little bit ago that Concrete came to the defense, I believe, of G.I. Jew, another Christian who took Darth to task and criticized him for the way he was behaving over something. And Darth just basically treated this guy no different than he would treat a skeptic. And Concrete came in there and pointed that out. So if I suspect that is the quote-unquote trolling that Concrete is guilty of. Remember, Darth does not mind you disagreeing with him. He just doesn't like trolling. If you disagree with the way he's treating Christians, though, that apparently is tantamount to trolling.
You're a fucking liar.
See you later, liar. You are a liar. You want to tell me right now that you have not repeatedly on numerous occasions trolled me? You want to tell me?
No one can answer that question because nobody can actually nail down what Darth Dawkins means when he says trolling. It could mean literally anything. Like, it's just whatever happens to irritate him. Like, this boomer has no idea what trolling is. Like PMars, if anybody knows who PMars is, that guy's a troll. He will say things and do things on social media just to get people to react and to get people pissed off. That's a troll. Somebody that says something that you don't like is not a fucking troll. I would never call Darth Dawkins a troll in the internet sense. In the living under the bridge and, you know, mauling people in the middle of the night kind of way, absolutely. He definitely is a troll in that sense. Really not an internet troll.
Tell me that.
You know what? I think I'm being recorded, so I'm not going to engage.
I asked you.
That's actually kind of interesting. And I wonder how he knew that. Like, he's like, I think this is being recorded, so I'm not going to engage. He's already thrown F-bombs and called Darth an idiot and all this other kind of stuff. And this is what's actually really refreshing about this. And this is, I'm going to be kind of outing myself as somebody who really enjoys the schadenfreude of this. These are both Christians behaving super fucking shitty to each other. Super shitty. Nothing about this is cool. It's not kosher, as the Christians would put it. Wait, that may not be right. Anyway, they're not supposed to be doing this. And yet here they are, pissing all over each other, over the internet, over time to talk on the internet. Oh, it's like they're 14.
Direct question. Do you want to tell me right now? Do you want to lie before everyone? If you're a Protestant, you want to say before God, you believe in God, Concrete?
You think God is up to for your manipulation?
Do you believe in God, Concrete?
I kind of agree with what Concrete's going with here, because I would ask the question of Darth too. Like, do you really think that your deity appreciates you putting it to the test for these purposes? You want to put him in between your your cock match with this dude. Okay.
Think God is susceptible to your manipulation?
Notice the evasion. Now, do you want to tell me? See, you're unhinged.
You think God is going to say that, Darth?
See,
God is going to say, "Oh, he didn't answer Darth's question."
Your number. This is how I got your number. This
Exactly.
is how precisely you're behaving right now. Now, if this is Ask a Protestant and you believe in God, before I leave, okay, I want to know, before God, do you want to say that you haven't chronically? Here we go.
I love this. I want you to swear to me and to our fellow believers and to God above that you didn't troll me. Again, can Darth Dawkins define what he thinks trolling is? Because this guy could be like, no, I didn't troll you. Did I say things or write things just to elicit a reaction from you? That's not what Darth Dawkins thinks trolling is.
Oh, again. If you're an abomination. I'm not manipulating. You're doing it again. You are a troll.
Concrete kicks Darth.
Concrete, did you kick him? That was hilarious.
Dude, the battle was so intense. Concrete is recovering. He's in the ICU right now.
I was so shocked Concrete didn't just mute Darth.
Oh wait,
Very
it
shocked.
continues.
He's kicking him.
Yeah, it's interesting that Attack Dog Mod actually showed up there.
What the fuck? Okay, this is funny. I suddenly like Concrete a lot more than I've ever liked him. This is funny.
So yeah, that's that. So yeah, very Christ-like, very loving. Now I know that Darth Dawkins and a lot of other Christians don't like it when atheists try to do that. You know, like, hey, what do you kind of, we're not saying we're perfect. Like, I'm not trying to tell you that you need to be perfect. I'm just telling you not to be a douchebag. And this was a prime example of both of these guys really indulging in their feelings and really diving in deep on that douchebaggery. However, in Concrete Plus's defense, he probably had a good reason to be that pissed off. If Darth showed up in his channel and just started like trying to kick him out of it so he could take over, there was already a conversation going on, and he just shows up and like plunk, flicks him away from his own spot. I would have done the same thing. Hell, I got kind of worked up talking to Tone Loc yesterday, but I'm justified because I hate that guy. Anyway, let's wrap that one up. Yeah, Wraith Knight puts the Ask a Protestant is on Politics and Religion server. Okay, there you go. And yeah, according to Concrete Plus, I don't know if this is true or not, but he claims that's his. And maybe that occurred to Darth later on because Darth was like, he mentions Ask a Protestant and then says, but because it's not called Ask a Protestant with Concrete Plus, your host and Lord and absolute master, omnipotent, omniscient, and questioning. Darth, don't mute. Darth went in there and muted him. So, yeah. Darth dumb. Let's remove that one. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. That's just a great example of good old-fashioned Christian cannibalism. Just watching these guys just tear into each other like ravening wolves. That one's gone. All right. So the one I ran into, this one's from back in April, end of April. And it was an interesting conversation. And then I ended up getting into a conversation with somebody, I don't know if it was on my stream or somebody else's, about kind of a legal thing that Darth gives at the beginning. I might fast forward through that because he gives this weird, he thinks he's making like a legal point or something. It's really strange. But then he starts talking with a YouTuber named, or not a YouTuber, a Discord user named Poji. Things go a little weird. So I'm actually going to share this. I'm going to probably fast forward to that point. This was one I was always meaning to circle back to, but just never got around to it. I think she shows up right around, I think it's the 3-minute mark.
Is completely absurd.
So at this point, just to give some context, he's been talking to somebody named BYO Bombs, Bring Your Own Bombs, and they were having a discussion, and he tried to lay out this whole thing about like a murder kind of thing, like plausible deniability kind of thing. It sort of just falls apart, but Poji jumps in here within a few minutes, and I think she's friends with BYO Bombs. So yeah, thanks, Wraith Knight, for stop by. I appreciate it.
The mother, who was a quadriplegic, killed the daughter. Okay, you understand the analogy here? Okay, now
the analogy is terrible. If you're interested in it, I've got the video, the link to this one. It's the third link in the description. Go back and watch the first 3-4 minutes of this video and listen to this weird legal analogy that he tries to give. It is ridiculous. It's the kind of like if you heard your lawyer saying that, you would immediately fire them because there's clearly no understanding of how like rationality, reason, or law works.
Now do you understand? Now do you understand? I'm gonna fucking kick your ass out of this room.
But because somebody objects to his extremely ignorant example, he's got to raise his voice and threaten to kick them out. I wonder if BYO Bombs is trolling him.
If you don't stop right now, you are being argumentative. I will listen to
Darth has just actually gone into he's spent the last 3 minutes giving an example that he thinks is an argument ad absurdum. It's an example of that. And then when this guy tries to interject, he accuses him of being argumentative. Like, I'm sorry, if you spent 3 or 4 minutes explaining something, give me an analogy that points to either an argument ad absurdum or something like this, you are by definition, we're talking about something argumentative. This accusation that he uses on people, you're just being argumentative. Of course they're being argumentative. You're in a conversation with them that is, there's some tension there, right? They're there to argue with you about stuff. That's the whole point of being on here. I just want you to shut up and roll over and let me just like lather you up with bullshit. And if you disagree, then I want you to go away. Just disappear forever. Okay?
Hey, stop. Okay, last warning. Okay? Now, I will give you almost as much time as you want, but you're not going to overtalk me.
Sure,
okay? I
almost as much time as you want means he will give them about 15 seconds before he interrupts them and accuses them of something.
I can already tell that you have an argumentative spirit. Now,
said that's fair.
Do you understand?
An argumentative spirit. You are on a Discord server that is designed around getting into debates and arguments with people. The fuck you talking about, Darth? The fuck you talking about? Of course everybody's going to sound like they've got an argumentative spirit. Everybody's showing up there to go to war. Goddamn dumb old monkey.
And now, overtalk me again, and you're going to be banned from the server.
Sorry, Daddy. Go on.
Okay, you're banned. Okay.
That was not the right time to push it.
You know, I gave him fair warning. Okay, don't push it. He decided.
He didn't actually do that. He just said last warning. Goose, for whatever reason, in a classic example of really good toadying, is like, well, that wasn't the right time to push it. I mean, there's a right time to tweak Daddy, but not then. You're already on the outs. Now you're probably not going to get your allowance or something. Like, these guys are just fucking morons. Like, when you're on one of these things, these guys talk down to people and condescend to them like they're your fucking uncle or something. Like they're gonna lay out how things work, and you're gonna sit there and shut up and take it. Half these guys have double-digit IQs, and I'm not talking about the high side of double digits either. And they're condescending, patronizing, moralizing, self-righteous pricks, all of them. And they package this shit up, belch it out every night on Discord and YouTube, and then act like people need to just, like, you know, bend over and, you know, and just take this shit. Like, no one's going to. And then they sit there and wonder, I'm like, well, why are people so hostile to us? Why aren't we getting girlfriends? Why aren't we more popular? Because you're assholes. The only reason Darth Dawkins is popular, he's popular in the same way that, like, an erupting volcano is popular or an outbreak is popular, right? People need to watch it so that they can get the fuck out of the way.
Decided he wanted to push it.
Okay, but you also pushed him too.
Okay, are you a male or a female?
Why do people always ask that as soon as I talk? It hurts my feelings. I'm a female.
Why don't you
why? Because we. It's because we have so many effeminate people talking on microphone. I like to know whether I'm talking to a male or a female.
No, I was born a female. I don't like that people always think that I might be.
He's saying that there's a lot of effeminate people that show up over the microphone. He wants to know if he's talking to a male or a female. What difference would it make? Like, this guy doesn't accept people's ages. Why would he accept their description of their genders? Just a thought.
A male, like, makes me feel like my voice is very feminine.
Why don't you put a name
Okay.
or a picture that is a female?
Yeah.
I have a cat picture that should tell you that I'm a female. It's a picture of a cat. You should be able to.
Okay.
I'm going to actually criticize Poji here. I don't know if she's watching. I don't know if she's a fan. I would like it if she were. Poji, I wouldn't want to generalize and assume that you're because you've used a cat photo as your avatar, that you're a female. I know that there are plenty of male social media users that have used cats as their avatar. So I'm very disappointed with you, Poji. Sorry, I couldn't even get that out with a straight face. No, it's fine, but. I don't exactly understand why Darth is like this keyed up on this. Like, part of this, I think, is just him kind of like, I think he thinks he's showing off for his friends. He wants to make sure that you're not like, you know, what are the words I think he uses? Tranny, homo, pervert are the words that usually come out of his mouth. This is why he's not on YouTube, folks, because if he were, his channel would get flagged and kicked all the time. But on Discord, he can do this, and he's doing it to people who are young, if not young chronologically, they're young in their mind, right? He's talking to a lot of vulnerable people who are only like really between the ages of 12 and 17 mentally, according to his diagnosis. Does that stop Darth from abusing them? Absolutely not. No, if anything, that's just accelerant for the fire. So.
Use context clue. It's a cat. It's a female.
Okay, fine. We understand you're a female. I wasn't trying to be provocative, okay?
Now he's bored and he's frustrated because he's pushed back. Like, you wanted this, Darth. You wanted this.
Okay. But we deal with a disproportionate number of perverts and transsexuals and homos and things like that.
What did I tell you? Now, I'm not a prophet. I've seen this before, so I knew that came up at some point. Just didn't know it was that soon. So, please don't flag this video.
The last guy you talked.
Or do, I don't care.
He was a friend of mine. He is indeed a homosexual. But that doesn't make him a pervert or whatever.
Okay. Well, according to you, but according to God, he's a pervert.
According to people that wrote a book claiming to speak for God, in some of those passages, you might be able to make the connection that God is not okay with homosexual acts. Doesn't say anything about actual same-sex attraction, though. Bible's completely mute on that subject. It's one of the reasons why Christians have such a shitty take on LGBTQ issues. That's a long story. That's a long discussion. We can do that later.
We disagree on that.
Well, here's the problem. And we do disagree on that, and I welcome your disagreement, right? But in a certain sense. But you see, in your world, nothing is perverted because there is no objective right or wrong or standards for anything. So at least from your world, you're right. He's not a pervert because nobody can be a pervert in your world.
Because it follows that if you don't agree with Darth on the type of God that must exist necessarily, you can't have a standard for evaluating anything. Nothing matters. It's just nihilism all the time and gases burping and farting all over the place. Sure.
No, you don't understand. No, you don't understand. From your world, there is no right. There is no objective right in your world. Because there's no
As a non-dysphoric, non-binary, demisexual, sapiosexual, gray, asexual, Achillean androphile, I think I resent that. Well said, Titan Uranus. I don't know what some of those terms mean, so one of these days you probably have to tell me. I could Google them, I suppose.
Final reference point to determine what's right.
A final reference point. So you couldn't just evaluate it based on either shared norms or you couldn't even do it on like a tribal sense, right? You have to have a final reference point. I frequently wonder about this when Darth invokes this kind of thing. Because he's a conservative, conservative politically as well. And I kind of frequently wonder, like within his circles, is his conservative political stance, at least in U.S. politics, is that grounded in the same kind of revelation epistemology, or is it sort of him just sort of agreeing with and vibing with different people kind of within the same tribe?
But subjectively, I can say I fucking hate pedophiles and I think they belong in hell. And
So she doesn't like pedophiles and she thinks they belong in hell. Watch what Darth does.
That's my subjective opinion. So, and that's what I go by.
But you're still making an objective determination that something is subjective, right?
No, it's subjective. It's my own judgment. It's my own personal judgment. I hate people that molest children and stuff like that.
She said this should go to hell. I'm actually surprised that he didn't jump on that. Now, I'm sure what she actually probably means is if there's a hell, that's where pedophiles should go. Right, but I'm kind of surprised that he didn't do anything with them.
Like that, I see that as
you didn't. Well, you just evolved to think that way, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
She hasn't said anything about evolution. Nothing about evolution has come up. I don't even think he was talking about anything evolution related with the previous person, the BYO bombs, who I believe Poji is a friend with. So. He's just going to basically he's just going to start tacking on these. This is the first. He just starts tacking on and assuming her positions for her and then projecting outward. And there's a really good example of how bad this gets, of how decadent he is when he's indulging himself on these little tirades coming up soon.
Yeah, maybe, I guess.
Okay, good. So whatever you like or dislike is just simply the quirks of reproduction and billions of years of evolution, and what you hate because you evolved and because of the genetic recombination of DNA.
She admitted that her distaste for pedophiles was subjective, and now he's grounding it in her in her genetics. Wouldn't that make it objective? Like, it seems like he's trying to actually paint her as some kind of like an evolutionary or some kind of biological determinist. She was bound to come out this way. She's already said that her opinions about certain things were subjective. She had no trouble admitting to it. And now he seems to be projecting onto what she's talking about a kind of determinism that actually kind of bolsters an argument for her opinions being objective in a way. So he's already starting to like step on rakes in the yard.
DNA and a mutation, your neurostates.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I even believe in free will.
No. Well, then I'm talking to an answering machine right now.
So she's an NPC. This is as far as he got with that. Okay. If nature created her in the way that she's doing this, then how does it follow that she's also mindless? Right? Like he did all that to basically imply that she's an NPC. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I believe in free will. Maybe I am an answering machine.
Okay, no. Well, you see, you're just one of many of these young atheists who are.
Here we go.
Just naive, and you have no idea how incoherent atheism is. You're adopting atheism for one reason and one reason alone. You do not want there to be a God. And so because you're motivated.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true.
Good. Then you can correct me momentarily, okay?
This is funny. He begins this point by telling her that her motivation for embracing atheism is that she wants there to not be a God, or she really desires that there is no God. She interjects with, no, it's actually the opposite of that. I want there to be a God. He tells her to stop so he can finish this.
Yeah, the thing is, I really wanted to believe in God.
May I finish, please?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll let you have plenty of time to disagree. Okay.
All right.
You don't want there
just a little bit of a spoiler. No, he won't.
To be a God, and consequently, because you don't want there to be a God, your mind has acted like a magnet to collect all sorts of ideas or slogans or rationales as to why it is not necessary for you to believe in God. Okay. And I guarantee everyone in this room, right? If I start talking with you for the next 10 minutes, what's going to come out of your mouth are the typical atheist slogans and cliches that are.
I'm older than you might think.
So he's already fit her up with a little bit of a jacket here, right? He's already got her figured. He's got her cornered as far as he's concerned. He knows what she's going to say. He knows that she's just a package of stereotypes and cliches that different atheists have. He's projecting this pretty hard on her. In order for that to follow, he had to completely ignore the fact that the basis of this was that she is motivated to be an atheist because she doesn't want there to be a God. And she's already interjected and given him at least one key thing. Nope, I wanted there to be one, right? She's already said that that's wrong from the start. And then he goes through, and that because you were motivated this way, your mind has become a magnet to attract all this rhetoric and all these slogans and pamphleteering coming from these online atheists and elsewhere. And that's why you're doing this kind of stuff. And I bet the longer that we talk to you, the more we poke at you, the more stereotypical cliche atheist propaganda is going to come pouring out. Okay, now you can disagree with me. Like, what the fuck, dude? You just spent a minute literally going down the wrong trail with this person. When you started wrong and she interjected, why didn't you ask her for clarification? Oh, that's right, because you've already figured out that she's just a naive atheist who's swallowed a buttload of stereotypes and cliches, and that's all she's going to give to you, right?
I'm older than you might think. I'm 30 years old, so I don't need you to like
Okay. Well, we'll see if you are just spewing out atheist cliches and slogans that are easy to refute. Okay. So I told you, go ahead. You can speak.
I mean, it's not like I'm here to like make a big argument in like a debate thing in like a formal way or anything.
It's okay.
I'm telling you though.
Listen, can I just make a statement? you're free to tell us, anyone in here, we're wrong. Okay, as long as you're not trolling, you are free.
You are free to tell them that they're wrong. You're not free to explain why they're wrong or how they're wrong. That's where things get dicey.
Free to say you're a fool. You're believing in nonsense. All right.
If you call him a fool, he'll claim you that you're trolling, and you'll end up on that list where the one where the attack dog bot does the duct tape sounds, the creepy one, the abductor van thing. Yeah, I don't even know why they name it the attack dog. They should just call it, the panel van.
You can criticize anything we believe, and I welcome you to do that. As long as you're not trolling, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I'm not trolling. But the thing is, like, you said something recently that you said, like, oh, you want to believe that there is no God. Trust me. Like, when when I was like 21, my father died, and I really wanted to believe in God, but I couldn't because it just didn't make sense. There was like no evidence for it. It just didn't make sense. It just like people use logic, and it's like it's not a choice. It's just like using basic logic. There isn't a strong reason to believe in like the Bible, at least, like the Christian Bible. There just isn't.
Okay. All right. Well, you did as I predicted, that you would just simply repeat the same type of rationales that atheists do. Okay. Now, I may be critical of your reasoning, but I don't want you to take it personally, unless, of course, you behave badly and I insult you. Then you can take it personally, right?
He constantly has to make this fucking shit pertinent. Like, God damn, just say what you think about what you heard from the person you're talking to. Stop prefacing everything with how they're going to be treated by you and how they better not treat you a certain way. You ignorant fucking diva. Stop being so precious about this shit. Just talk.
But what you've just spoken is just a series of typical atheist cliches, slogans, and platitudes. So why don't we go through them one by one and see if they actually do or do not make sense. So you said your father passed away, which is a very difficult thing for anyone to deal with. So how does it follow from the fact that your parent died or somebody else's loved one died that there's no God?
So what do you think, folks? Is that what she said? She said following her father's death, she wanted to believe in a God and went looking for it. This isn't the cliche he thinks it is. He thinks that what she said is she lost a loved one, God's a meanie. Therefore, I'm an atheist.
No, that wasn't the thing that made me not believe in God. What I'm saying is that I wanted to believe in God because I wanted to think, oh, I'll get to see him again someday. Maybe his life wasn't just like this depressing long thing. But I couldn't because it just doesn't make rational sense to me. It's like it's actually like a logical thing. Like there's not logically any good reason to think that the Christian version of the Bible is real.
If I told you that
Darth does not acknowledge the fact that he just stepped on a big break. He completely mischaracterized her point. And she's corrected him twice. The first time, he didn't take an opportunity to actually interject and ask her some questions to figure out where she stood. He just rambled on this whole thing like, this is what happened. This is why you think this. And this is why you're motivated. You just don't like God, or you don't want a God, or you're angry at God. The kind of Kevin Sorbo, projection engine, Well, atheists are just mad at God. The God they don't think is real, Hercules. By the way, he sucked on that show. Come at me. But she's basically saying, no, I was 21, lost my father, had a real motivation, an interest in finding this out. Like, I really want there to be a God. I want there to be an afterlife because that means there's a chance, there's a hope I get to see him again. Does Darth do anything with that? Nope.
Right before I got here, I had dinner on the moon. I jumped to the moon, ate a ham sandwich, and came back. You wouldn't accept that because it wouldn't make sense to you, right?
What does any of this have to do with what she just told him? Remember the relationship here. She's a skeptic and was interested in Christianity briefly following her father's death 9 years ago. She stated that she's 30, 21 years old when her father died. She looks through it. She doesn't find anything compelling. He has an opportunity as a Christian to deliver on the Great Commission and present the word of the Lord to her. What's he talking about now? How she's going to justify how it's impossible for him to jump to the moon and eat a ham sandwich on it. This guy is just awful, just the worst. He's just the worst.
Right.
So when we say something doesn't make sense, either what we're referring to is unintelligible, or what is spoken is intelligible, but it doesn't conform and cohere to some other concepts or standards that we hold to. Okay. And so since you believe in gravity and the limitations of human beings, that it doesn't make sense because that's inconsistent with physical laws. So when we say something doesn't make sense, it either means it doesn't conform to certain norms that we know of, or standards or laws, or it's just unintelligible. So when you say it doesn't make sense, you're not saying God is unintelligible. You're just saying it doesn't conform to some conceptual standard in your head. Well,
how does he know? He hasn't actually asked her what she means. She could be veering into the realm of being a kind of a non-cognitivist. She might be one of those people who ends up becoming like Noam Chomsky, where you ask him if, are you an atheist? Do you reject the notion of gods? And he's like, no, because I don't even know what the concept means. So I don't know what I'm rejecting, right? Is that what's going on here? No. He's eliminated that part. Well, of course you can't mean God's unintelligible, not the way I'm going to define it later. You just must mean that God doesn't conform to certain things that you know about, like gravity and such. Okay. Well, the thing that Darth seems to have a problem with is that there's evidence for those things, testable and repeatable evidence to prove that those things are at least real in this time, this epoch. So we can kind of hang on to that. Granted, it's tendentious. It's a little probabilistic. It's subject to revision. I know he doesn't like that because it lacks certainty, but he really has not done a good job figuring out anything about his interlocutor. He spent more time, and I think everybody's probably aware of this, telling her what she thinks and describing what she is, instead of letting her say what she thinks and describe herself. He's just that charitable. He's just that nice a guy.
Well, what would that standard be that you could demonstrate that the existence of God would not conform to?
What? So your question is what?
You said the existence of God doesn't make sense. Well, compared to what? Okay. Now, before we go on, let's
remember, he has already managed to magically rule out that she's not saying that God is unintelligible. He's forced her into a corner where she has to compare him to something that's something else that she can evaluate, like gravity or physics or something like that. She didn't do that. She didn't say anything about that. And he hasn't asked her any questions to lead her to that point. He just went on a long diatribe to railroad her into that point and is now insisting that she provide him an answer as to, well, what do you mean God doesn't make sense? In comparison with what? Now, in my case, I would say, well, it doesn't really make sense that there's an ultimate being that seems to be predicated on existence. That seems kind of weird. It seems to me that existence would be more absolute than the absolute being that you're trying to insist exists. But he doesn't want to hear that because that's obviously not a thing. If you're trying to compare God to things like gravity or whatever like that, then what would Darth Dawkins go to thing is like, well, the only reason that you can even perceive gravity is because God allows it. Well, if that's the case, then I don't understand how these guys are even capable of evaluating anything. If I had one Christian tell me that gravity is X, and then I had another Christian tell me that gravity is Y, and they're both claiming that they have something revealed to them in their special epistemology, how do I know which one's lying?
Just give a minimalist definition of God, at least from your perspective as an atheist.
I mean, dude, I've looked into it a little bit. Like we don't know anything. Like we don't know like how the universe like we're like in a remote part of the universe. We have no fucking idea how like any of the universe began. We could just
whoa, Poggi. We know a little bit. We don't know a lot. I'll give you that. Not a lot, but we do know some things. But as she goes on to make a point here, and I'm pretty sure this is one of the points that he just completely skips over.
Just tell that we're like on a spinning rock in the middle of absolutely freaking nowhere.
So
we're very far from anything else.
Okay. What do you mean we?
We're far from it. We the human race. The human race. We're far from anything else.
Okay.
Like from anything that we could possibly like reach and contact. Far away.
So we're on the same page. I'm going to give you a definition of God that's as uncontroversial. Okay. So God is that which is eternal, ultimate, and the creator of mind and the institutor of all temporal facts. Okay. So we're going to be talking about God as creator. Now, when that is posited that this world is the product of God's creation and his providence, how and in what sense does that not make sense?
Does what not make sense?
You said the existence of God being the creator does not make sense. Well, why?
Like the Bible doesn't make sense. Like it just there's so much evidence that it's based on other Greek myths.
I did mention the Bible to you. See, you're an atheist, and right now.
All right, sorry, folks. Sorry I was gone for that long. Yeah, I unmuted that and it didn't unmute. StreamYard has been giving me some issues lately, and that was weird. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, I went on a little bit of a tirade talking about some of Darth's goofy definitions of the non-controversial God that he just posited to Poji here. So I'm going to push forward on this. He watch as this kind of evolves, because he gave his little brief descriptions. He handed out some properties, and then he was like, we're just talking about God as a creator, and then he seems to want her to He's already implying it, but you'll see this. He gets a little bit more explicit with it. He's basically trying to ask her, can you give me an answer for a reason why there couldn't be a God? And then he kind of blows that up. Watch.
What we're talking about is your atheism. Okay. Now, if you want to discuss,
right, but I'm talking about
Bible,
Christianity.
may I finish,
let's be
please?
real. Okay.
May I finish, please? Okay. Okay. If you want to discuss the viability of Christianity or that it's unacceptable, that's fine, but that's another subject. Right now, we're talking about a minimalist definition of God, and you're an atheist, that the existence of God per se doesn't make sense. Now, if I try to persuade you that the Christian God is the one true God, which I do believe, if I don't first show you the utter bankruptcy and incoherency of atheism, you're still going to be dragging your feet when I present my case for Christianity. So let's first just deal with the viability of atheism first. Because if I don't conquer atheism, if I don't show you that atheism is incoherent, then you have a moat around your castle that I cannot cross, right?
This is odd to me. So he seems to think that what he needs to do is break down Poji's atheism with something other than Jesus. Now I'm actually starting to think that maybe that was the reason why he got so irritated with Doug from Pine Creek when he was like, hey, why don't you tell me about Jesus? Tell me what you think about him. Because what Darth is actually laying out here is like, no, I could probably give you like the whole, Jesus loves you and he's your friend and he wants you to repent for your sins and he wants to love you and redeem you and he wants you to live forever with him in heaven after you die. Darth's not going to do that. What Darth wants to do is he wants to tear down the intellectual viability of the atheist standpoint. And the only way he can do that is to get you to accept that there has to be an ultimate mind behind everything. Okay, if I agreed with Darth up to that point and thought that there was an ultimate mind that was behind everything, couldn't I just assume it was Satan or some other evil being? I could go run completely roughshod or just pick another deity and attribute to that particular deity the attributes that he's declared. You could take one from the Greek pantheon, which is usually a little bit limited, but you could say, no, actually it's Zeus. Zeus, it turns out, is the ultimate. Prove me wrong, Darth.
I think what you're not getting.
Let's just deal with the issue of God first, okay?
Okay, but atheism is not a religion. It's just saying I opt out. I don't think any of that is true. Like I quit. It's not a religion itself. It's just saying that you don't believe in any of those other religions. That's all it is.
She's basically right.
So it's like, how can you disprove that?
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, do you think I haven't heard that before?
I don't even know why he asks her that. Look, you're talking to somebody for the first time. Like, don't give her your salty war story bullshit. Oh, yeah, I've been around the block, honey. I've heard a lot of these atheist things. Like, give me a fucking break. Knock that shit off. Like, why don't you respond? Like, what she's saying about atheism is fairly accurate. I mean, philosophically, you could get into whole things about whether or not it's a lack of belief or a definitive belief about no gods or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. But it is not really a religion. It's a stance on a proposition. And that point she got right. So let's watch what Dee Dee does.
I mean, it's just true.
Times. Okay, now let's good. So we're going to get back to your original contention. You said that the existence of God as creator does not make sense. How does that not make sense?
Or you may want to make sure she understood that distinction between the two different senses in which we can use that phrase.
I did. I already went over that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not sure she.
How is it that the existence of God is inconsistent with some other standard that you have in mind in your model of reality?
Like,
she actually already mentioned that it didn't logically make sense. She did go through the exact why it didn't, but when trying to suss this stuff out, she wasn't convinced that he was real. I'm not exactly sure why these guys have a problem with this, but he tries to corner her with an odd question, and I'm actually going to put it to the audience too because I'm actually interested in hearing what more people think about it.
I don't know where any of this came from. Okay. Like, I'm really open-minded about this. You've got like Elon Musk, who's like, he's lived a very like special life and he's a billionaire and he believes that everything is a simulation, that there's a computer game running all of us. Then you've got like other people that there's other.
So Christ is king. that name seems a bit ostentatious, a little bit presumptuous. Like it seems like you're saying you're Christ and you're King. But he's already like, oh god, here we go. There are people that believe in like the kind of simulation theory or whatever it's called. So I don't know why he's grumbling, but simps are gonna simp.
Other people that got like
open-minded
chosen
enough
to be.
to answer a question?
Okay.
Yeah, and
We
the thing
asked you a
is,
question. Can you answer it?
okay, repeat the question.
Yeah, you said that the existence of God does not make sense. So you concluded because it doesn't make sense, therefore it doesn't exist. So when we talk about God being eternal creator and the reason why anything exists, it does not conform and cohere to what standard? What in your worldview does the existence of God conflict or contradict with?
So Poggi probably can't answer this, but somebody like Jay Gardner actually got pretty close to talking about this when he talked about the properties of Abrahamic gods being catastrophic. Then you couple that with theodicies and problem of evil, and you run into some real issues. They do conflict with some basic things. One of the things that usually tends to happen, and these were the traits that Darth leaves out. Like if he's just talking about an ultimate mind that is the source of everything, that's so vague it doesn't really mean anything. But if somebody starts throwing in those omni qualities, or Darth always calls them the great making properties: omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscience, omniscience, which omniscience and omnipotence are kind of in the same thing. But those things actually can create contradictions that make the being that you think has those properties self-annihilate. These guys act like that's not a big deal. They just ignore it. They avoid that like the plague. If you've ever watched one of these guys get dragged into a discussion, a long discussion on how the omnis work, and R&R is in here, Rebuke and Reprove. I pulled him into one years ago, back when he still had the Jesus is Lord channel before YouTube exercised it. And he lost his stuff. He couldn't do it. He couldn't hang. He couldn't like juggle all the different contradictions all at the same time and started flailing around. I think a lot of these guys probably struggle with that kind of thing because they want to accept it. They don't really want to have to deal with it. But for other people that kind of get presented with this stuff, depending on how they're presented with it and when they're presented with it, they get this idea in their head, oh, well, Jesus Christ, that doesn't make any sense. How does this being that has perfect knowledge and all power create a bunch of humans that run around and do things that are against its will? Well, he gave us free will because he wanted to. He doesn't want us to be a bunch of robots. Like, yeah, but isn't the reward that we go to heaven and we can no longer do anything wrong? Well, sure. Well, how could we do that and still have free will? Don't focus on that. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is the King. It just works that way. So
it's just that I don't have a reason to believe in it, so why would I believe in it?
Okay, that is
God.
Yeah, that's what we call argumental.
Okay, like I hate to go back to this.
Can I respond, please? Okay.
Yes.
As the gentleman said, that's what we call in philosophy an appeal to ignorance. Okay.
It isn't.
Because if I don't have a reason to believe that it's true, then it must be false, or vice versa. Now,
no. What Darth is actually trying to do is get her to concede to his appeal to ignorance. He's asking her, by what standard can you tell me that there isn't a reason to believe in my God? And if she comes up empty, is he going to then go, well, maybe God's a thing? That's an appeal to ignorance fallacy. He's engaging in one right now. She's simply saying that she's not convinced. She hasn't been presented with evidence or reasons or arguments that convince her to think that there's an actual God. The actual state of affairs is that this God is real, the God of Christianity. Darth's not even arguing about the God of Christianity. He's talking about a Star Trek alien being God, just the ultimate mind floating on a planet in the middle of nowhere that's the source of everything. Doesn't have anything to do with Jesus. Don't look over here. Got nothing to do with the cross or redemption, original sin, none of that dogma stuff. Nope. We'll just strip all that stuff away. We just got this big, bald, floating head that is the source of all stuff. Why can't that be a thing? Well, because that's not your thing. As far as I know, that's not any religion's thing. Unless I don't know too much about other mythologies. So if anybody knows of a Greek or Roman god that's just a big ball floating head that exists on some planet, I've always kind of wondered maybe that's the Mormon god. No, that can't be it. I think we're all gods in Mormon. Never mind. I'm not going to get into that. Oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble. The Mormons are going to be after me again.
When you have an understanding that you're just a bystander here, and the world and the universe is just here, and things are chugging along, and somebody comes along and says, "Hey, there's this final boss, like in a video game that we call God," and you just say, "Well, I don't have any evidence for that." But you see, this is just a convenient criterion of belief that you immediately dismiss, because if you don't believe in God as the...
If Darth was walking down the street and somebody told him, you know what I think? I think that when you die, there's a final boss, a little challenge. And if you can jump over his barrels or dodge his flying mushrooms or save the princess or, shoot him full of enough bullets or whatever, then you get in. You get to heaven. That's how it works. Darth is still not talking about Yahweh or Jesus. He's talking about bullshit. And it amazes me that he thinks that this is step one in the process of getting somebody to really believe. I need to break down why atheism doesn't work. How? You haven't presented an alternative to, in her case, a lack of belief. Like, she's skeptical about the God that you're talking about, right? And all he's done is strip away anything that kind of identifies it as a Christian God, and then is insisting that she accept it on an appeal to ignorance. Why couldn't this thing be real? That's the wrong lesson to take from this, Darth Dawkins. You're engaging in stinking thinking.
Ground of all being, you're still going to have to deal with the problem as to what it is that's fundamental and ultimate in reality that dictates why anything is. So if God...
You might have a point there.
God is not what is fundamental to reality, then you're going to believe that something else is. And if you don't believe that something else is fundamental, dictating what is, can be, and cannot be, then you won't have a reason to believe in anything.
Does that follow, folks? So it has to be one or the other, right? But it's actually, there's lots of different options here, right? You have to believe it's this thing, this ultimate thing dictating what is possible, what's impossible. And if you don't think it's my thing, then you have to think it's something else that has equal power. And it better be a fucking mind. And if it's not a fucking mind, it doesn't make sense. And if you don't think something's dictating how things go, thus and so, well, then you don't have a reason to believe dick all, right? That makes no sense at all. That does not follow from what you're talking about, Darth. It has nothing to do with it. The idea that you are looking at the world around you and the facts, collecting them in your skull, and creating a God out of the consequences of the things you can't explain. Your God is a figment of your nausea and your vertigo. You're terrified of infinity and nihilism, and so you have to have a referee. Something's got to be at the end of the road. Something has to be on the other side of that finish line or whatever it is. And it better be the source of absolutely everything, because anything less than that is going to send you spiraling into nihilism and catastrophic dismay, right? This seems to be this, I think, is actually what motivates a lot of this style of Christianity, especially the kind that gets into social media and tries to philosophize in this way. What he's talking about, he's not even interested. He's even presented. He's not interested in converting her to Christianity. He just wants to break down her atheism. But he's trying to use his definition of God to break down her atheism. And he's removed the Christian aspects, some of the Christian aspects of that deity. It's not revelatory. He hasn't brought that up. It's not a redemptive God either. He has no redemptive arc built into it. So it lacks any of that storytelling power. It's just a thing that makes things the way they are. Why does the pen fall when I drop it? God. Why is the sky blue? God. Why can't I jump to the moon? God. Yeesh. You're supposed to kind of outgrow, I think, some of these tendencies and get into something, I think, a little bit more mature with your religion. But my God, this just seems like a lot of cope This is an enormous amount of cope turned into a religion. Maybe that's all religions are, but it's the smell is ripe on Darth Dawkins.
So you've already made it clear that you require reasons to believe in something. Well, if reasons are required to believe in something, then there must be something fundamental dictating what is, can be, and cannot be. So you don't have.
How does that follow? How does it follow that because I have reasons to believe in certain things, or I lack reasons to believe in other things, that there must be something dictating all things? He hasn't shown that connection. That makes no sense.
Have a reason to believe in God. So what is your reason to believe in what is fundamental, that is not God, that dictates what is, can be, and cannot be? What's your reason for that?
Now he's engaging in what he usually does, which is the classic kind of external critique. He's insisting, and I've said this many times, I'm going to keep saying it until he or one of his simps comes after me. He's insisting that if it's not the thing, the collection of properties that he's described that he calls God, it's going to be those identical properties that you believe in that you describe as something else. Name it. And if you can't name it, he's going to get you.
I mean, I don't like. Thing is, my whole reasoning is I have no idea where this planet came from, but like whoever it is that made it,
but you know it's not God,
right?
But you know it's not God, right?
Whoever made it doesn't care at all about us, because there's people fucking like dying in fucking floods and shit. Why the fuck? Whoever made this shit does not care the shit about us.
Here we go. Well, here's the problem.
So they get her to a point where she's starting to rattle off some reasons. Essentially, what she's pointing to is the problem of unnecessary suffering. Indirectly, that's what she's getting to. Darth doesn't care that that's what's going to happen. He's probably going to try to get her away from that, and he does, basically because he blows it off, right? It doesn't matter that people die, right? God will sort that out. Goose is just sitting there, just whinging and cringing in the background. I don't even know why he was even saying anything like that. So she's brought this up. This is a potent motivator for a lot of people about whether or not they're going to actually ascribe to a religion or not. And it's how religious people deal with this issue. The problem of unnecessary suffering. The God that you're describing is omnipotent, omniscient, and supposedly omnibenevolent. Those are three biggies. And those are not three properties that Darth can escape from. Now, I've watched him try to do that, which is weird, because he's actually tried to slither away from the fact that God is all good, I think, which is telling. But if you traffic in attack dog, duct tape abduction kind of memes for your servers, maybe it follows. Given his insistence on this track, if he can't lay this out for somebody, there's an opportunity for a Christian, and I hope I'm not giving them too much assistance. There's an opportunity if you're dealing with somebody who is skeptical and their problem is the problem of unnecessary suffering. You have an opportunity to sort of allay those feels. There is a way to present a kind of merciful, thoughtful explanation and a kind of ministry to these people that won't send them running for the hills. What Darth Dawkins does is the kind of thing that sends you not only running to the hills, but you run to the hills to build bunkers.
Okay. The fact that you don't like what the plan of creation is, okay, it doesn't follow from that there's not a creator.
Agreed. That's possibly true. But the issue that she's bringing up is a valid one, because it's not about her contesting how things were planned. She's talking about unnecessary suffering in the world right now. And why is that? If we've got a God, right? What she's seeing as evidence of the world around her is a lot of unnecessary suffering. And it seems like if she's going to believe in a God that has any of these properties that, well, any of the properties that Darth started with, but any of the properties that Christians tend to believe that he has, that they don't line up. That's the standard. If you use the Christian standard and then compare it to the world around you, what's actually going on, it tends to fall short.
You thinking that you could have a better plan for creation and that the present world that you see would not fit your plan for creation, it doesn't follow from that there's not a creator. You understand that?
So, okay, so are we okay with the idea that maybe there is a creator, but he's just fucking super evil and he likes to like starve Africans just because he's like, oh, fuck Africa. Those people really suck. Like, is that what's going on? Why, like, seriously, why won't he give them fucking water? I don't get.
I like that even when she's talking, he is incapable of keeping his mouth shut. Okay. All right. Just constant running his mouth. This old biddy cannot stop talking at people. He's not talking to them. He's not having a conversation with her, just talking at her.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So do you object when God doesn't miraculously intervene and saves all these little baby Africans, right?
I mean,
sorry, when I ask a question, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I want to answer your question. So when little children die,
that's the thing, Darth. You don't have to try to be a jerk. It's part of your nature. I mean, God made you that way.
Around the world, and in this case, you brought it back for. How about we have little African babies who die? Okay, right. So you feel that this is problematic for God, right?
He's already mischaracterized what she's talking about. Her issue is not that people die. Her issue is unnecessary suffering. That was implicit in what she was talking about. He's mischaracterizing this.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you pro-choice?
Sure.
You're a hypocrite.
Ruh-roh.
Okay. Parakeet's ruh-roh is actually kind of apropos in this case. Listen to Darth's tone. Tweak up.
You see, I mean, do you realize what you've just done?
What?
You just spouted a concept known as megalomania. Okay, you are standing in judgment over God's plan, whatever his plan is, and because you think in your small little mind that you would have a better plan, okay, for creation, and that because people die or they're suffering or little children die, that God is a big bad boogeyman. But you see, you give the thumbs up to all the millions of babies who are getting their arms and legs and heads ripped off in abortion clinics. And yet you stand in judgment of God, yet you give the thumbs up to all these babies, the millions and millions of babies who have been killed in abortion clinics in the United States alone, also including all the babies who are murdered around the world in abortion clinics. And you give the thumbs up, and you have the nerve to criticize God because within his plan of creation, he allows people to die sometimes sooner rather than later. Don't you see your gross hypocrisy?
So, there's about a couple dozen things wrong with that. The biggest thing wrong with that is that, let's just get the big one off the table. Abortion isn't murder. It's categorically different. It is not the tearing apart of babies, right? Babies, it is illegal. If Darth Dawkins were to enter a kindergarten or a daycare and pick up a baby and tear its arms and legs off, he would face criminal charges. It is not legal in this country to tear the arms and legs and the heads off babies. You can't do that. It is currently legal for women to seek medical care that might result in the termination of a pregnancy under the guidance of those medical providers. Categorically different. I know these guys don't like to deal with that because they have to feed their feelings on this issue. Otherwise, Satan wins, right? You know? So when he does this, he then accuses her of megalomania. He doesn't believe that. He's lying. Megalomania is not a thing that a lot of people have. It's actually kind of it's a delusion where you believe that you become kind of obsessed with your own sense of power, grandeur, and otherwise. You tend to think that you're omnipotent, godlike. That's megalomania. She is evaluating a claim where we could have the world that we live in now, which has suffering in it and no God. And so the suffering is caused by the fact that some people are born in worse conditions than others. There's naturalistic and physical explanations for why this happens. If you inject a God into it with a quote-unquote plan, things start getting a little weird because notions of natural and moral evil start to pop up, and the implications of what this God is doing about the suffering that happens on this planet begin to arise, right? There are things that would come up with us if we were when we're dealing with our own morality. Now, if you're able to surrender that and just say that the morality of a God is categorically different and it can just allow people to suffer and die, and that's fine, then you can justify it. You can kind of square that off and then walk away from it. That's not what she's doing in this case. She's not establishing that she's capable of creating a better world than God. She's rejecting the notion of the God that she's acquainted with, the Christian God that she's acquainted with, and comparing and contrasting that with the reality that she sees around us. And he's rejecting this. He's just cheapening it. He does this with most atheists he talks to. And he's trying to blame her for it, right? He's trying to shift everything. Like, you're the problem. It's your delusion. It's your, whatever. This is, if Dee has to resort to this, and this is abuse. This is kind of a rhetorical and conversational kind of abuse thing that he's doing to people. This is not going to win people to Christ. So when someone asked me, especially Darth asked me, God can exist because Darth Dawkins thinks it's real. That God cannot be real because Darth Dawkins does not reflect the fruits of the Spirit, what we should see in a believer, given that God were real.
I feel like you and me are like on a very different page. Like,
that's not an answer to my question. You approve of the
question.
You approve of the slaughter of the unborn, don't you?
No, I don't approve.
So now he's getting into the slaughter of the unborn. And this is when he starts getting into. I wonder if this guy's ever if he's shown up with like placards or something outside of Planned Parenthood, facilities or whatever. But any guy this old that has been on this earth for this long and has this kind of feeling about this, and he's indulging in a fantasy, the kind of abortion that he believes in is not real. It's not. He's indulging in fantasy and myth making, but he needs to do that for some strange reason, and he's obviously emotionally worked up about it. The fact that he's doing that, and he's a man, he has no stake in the childbearing aspect of reproduction, right? He's a guy. He gets women pregnant, although hopefully not anymore.
Okay. Well, this is great. Wow, this is great. So I've convinced you to become pro-life, right?
No, I'm not pro-life.
Okay, my mistake. So you're pro-choice?
Listen to how he's throwing around these terms too. I love this because, so you're pro-life now? Look, I don't know. I wonder if these guys think that. Do they think that we like abortion? Do they think women that are pro-choice like abortion? Most women would rather not be in a situation where they have to go to their doctor and pursue that kind of procedure. They would rather that not happen to them. People are not women are not getting pregnant so that they can have an abortion. Men are not actively going on and impregnating women so that they hope, I sent her to the abortion clinic. This is not happening. People who are pro-choice because at this particular point, a woman should be able to have that kind of say over her body because her circumstances are her own. She might have health issues. She's not willing to take the risk to carry a child to term. She may have financial issues. She's not able to take care of a child. She may have emotional issues or interpersonal issues that make it problematic for her to bear a child, like being in an abusive relationship. There's lots of different reasons why a woman would choose to terminate a pregnancy. He's acting as if it's just this murder fest. It's just, he's even said it before. It's the men have this bloodlust. They just want kids murdered. Complete misconception of what abortion is. If they could come up, and I would like to put this out there for the Christians, would you be okay with the invention of a device that women could get that was 100% effective, non-hormonal, non-chemical, non-metal, right? But basically a smart IUD. The woman would wear this, and its default is birth control setting, right? And it prevents pregnancy 100% of the time. If the woman wants to become pregnant, she can either have the unit removed, or even better, because it's a smart IUD, it can be deactivated in consultation with her doctor. They can deactivate it remotely. And now she's ready to, doesn't have to remove it. It's very non-invasive. but she has total control over her reproductive cycle, you would probably see the number of abortions necessary dwindle to practically nothing. You see this kind of stuff with effective reproduction. Would Christians, one, think that this birth control method is ethical? Would they advocate it for amongst their own believers? Because what we actually see in the United States is that a lot of women, Christian women, use birth control and avail themselves of abortion services at Planned Parenthood and otherwise. Just a thought.
Can I tell you something? So there's like so many
pro-choice? Are you pro-choice?
Can I tell you why?
Then it doesn't matter why. You give the thumbs up to all the millions of babies in the past.
You keep on saying like, oh, you listen to me. You listen to me.
So by being pro-choice, she is giving the thumbs up to all terminated pregnancies. So who is giving the thumbs up to God for the miscarriages? What is it? 40? I think the estimate is 70% of fertilized embryos don't make it. There are some new studies that are showing that that's probably not that high. So some studies say it's as low as 40. Others are saying 50 to 60. Others are still saying it's expensive. So anywhere from 40 to 70% of fertilized embryos do not survive. And according to some of the ding-dongs I was talking to yesterday on Discord, what they need to hear from people talking about abortion, the thing that the woman is terminating better not be a human or better not have the potential to be born. Okay. Well, that includes fertilized embryos that don't make it naturally. Who gives the thumbs up to that?
Listen, let's not talk past each other. Do you, if it was up to you, you're the deciding vote on the Supreme Court. You're Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg, okay? Okay? And you have the deciding vote whether to keep abortion legal or illegal. How are you going to vote?
Look, I vote to keep it legal. Can I tell you why? Okay, listen.
I don't need to know you why, because you see your plan for all those babies being killed is.
You just said that we're not going to talk past each other. Are you going to listen to what I have to say?
Sure. Tell me about your plan. But then your plan is better than God's plan.
It's not about plans. Okay, so this is like.
Of course, it's your plan because you have the deciding vote.
Okay. So
again, you put that on her, right? You were the one, Darth. You were the one that told her that she was a megalomaniac and that she was insisting that her way of doing things was better. You did that. You didn't have to open the door to that, but you did.
So there's like so many like DNA combinations in the world, right? Like, okay, so every like minute a man like, well, okay, I don't know the exact biology, but like every time a man like fucking, like does this thing, he makes like 10,000 sperm, right? And women are born with like 100 million eggs or something. So it's like the combinations are like, billions of people. Every single person has more people, like has more potential people in them than the population of the entire Earth. So they would all be.
Parakeet makes a noise signaling that he is checking out of this biology lesson, or whatever. She's right. All of us as human beings have the potential to create a lot more life than is even remotely sustainable. It's just sort of what we do.
Siblings, well, but yeah, like every like couple of people have.
What does this have to do with
what I'm saying is, I mean, every time I have a period, didn't I fucking kill somebody like in a way?
Wow,
like I killed like billions of people. Like all the guys I could have had.
Hold on a second. How do you say your name? How do you say your name?
Poji. Okay. But all the guys on Earth I could have had kids with, I killed billions of them every time I have a period. So it's like I don't know. Am I murder? Yeah.
Okay, some of this is a little bit out there, but I do get what she's saying because, and here's the reason these guys will complain about this, and Darth will too. I ran into some guys yesterday that did the same thing to me. They feel that they have the allowance to say that if a woman terminates a pregnancy, it's the same as murdering a baby, ripping its arms and legs and head off. They have no problem equivocating those two things. What they hate is when somebody like me or Poji comes along and says, well, wait a minute, to what extent do you draw this line on life? If I jerk off in the shower, did I just endanger a bunch of potential babies? If, like Poji says, that she didn't get pregnant, but instead had her period and the eggs that were there and were viable, that she could have gotten pregnant then. But no, they aged out, and her body did the natural thing. It just cycled them out. Well, that's potential life right there. That was a little lifeboat for my underpants navy that I sent down the shower drain. This is where things get like, so if they're willing to agree that I'm not trying to say I'm murdering babies every time I lose a load of semen, and Poji's not murdering babies when she has some eggs expire and her monthly period occurs, maybe they could tone it down and not equate the termination of pregnancies with the mutilation of actual infants. Just a thought, guys. Maybe try to meet us in the middle. If you don't want us going to those absurd lengths, maybe don't go to them yourself. Try for a little self-control. Because if you do go to those lengths, we're going to go to those lengths too in order to counteract that, because what you're doing is absurd. And it's fair for us to do that, to point out how absurd you're being. So knock it off.
One problem as I'm seeing is your inability to focus on the topic at hand. You keep on segueing onto semi-related topic and then another.
Things are getting bad, right? As soon as he starts telling people that they can't focus, or they're not focusing, or he believes he needs to remind them to focus, they're not long for the conversation. This is pretense for him to boot people.
Related topic. The issue that we're discussing is the existence of God. Okay. Now,
we were talking. No, you were the one that brought us to abortion. You were.
She's exactly right. Now all of a sudden he's like, I want you to focus on what we're talking about. She asks a question, brings up this thing, he dodges it. You need to focus on what we were originally talking about. It was the existence of God. Actually, what you were originally talking about was how she needs to agree with your appeal to ignorance, that she doesn't have a reason for your God not to exist, so she might as well just assume it does. That was the original central point of your bullshit argument, and it was crap from the jump. And then you caught some feelings and blew up on the whole abortion thing. Darth.
You're the one that brought us to the topic of abortion.
You know what?
And I was like,
I brought it up to show you your complete inconsistency. Okay, you
how
are
am I inconsistent?
Listen to me. You need focus. Okay, you objected to the creator.
Nigga, you focus. Okay, you focus. I'm focused.
You're how old?
I'm 30 years old.
Okay, then please act like a 30-year-old woman. Okay.
How old are you?
Old enough to be your daddy.
Ew, gross.
He's in his 50s.
Why would that be gross?
No, that's literally
double. It's literally true. I'm double your age.
You said daddy like you wanted to fuck me, sicko.
Poji. That comment right there made Poji one of my she's gone on my wall of heroes right there. Oh, that was great. Yeah, he did say daddy like a sicko. And she pointed it out, and he's like, what do you mean? I love how everything has to be about the other person. This narcissist. Jesus. He just can't take credit. Can't be held responsible for the shit that comes out of his own face.
Oh, gross.
No. Okay. Well, you see, now what you're doing is now you're revealing how deeply immature you are for a 30-year-old woman.
Now he's going to psychologize her because she had a reaction to his cringe comment. Brilliant. Like, you're wrong either way with this guy. There's just no winning with him. It's got to be. There's no way this guy goes anywhere for Thanksgiving or Christmas. He would just be beaten with the Christmas tree or something. Or the turkey.
It's plan B.
Yeah, you're extremely immature for many reasons in this conversation. Okay, now can we get back to the discussion?
Am I the immature one? Am I the one that can't handle?
No, we're not going to have dogpiling. Shut up. Now, Poji, can we get back to the topic at hand? You said it doesn't make sense because there are people, both young and old.
I want to point out that one of the people that was attempting to dogpile is "quote unquote" Christ is King, and I believe he owns that Discord server. The Discord server is his. He has made a channel for Darth, and Darth told him to shut up. I don't know how Christ is King defines like self-respect or anything like that, but that would have been it. It wouldn't have been 2 or 3 strikes either. About the time somebody told me to shut up like that, after I gave them a channel on a Discord that I run and maintain, you can pound sand.
That does not demonstrate that there is no God. Now,
that's not what I said.
Okay, so fill in the question. There is no God because
it's not real. There is no Santa Claus because it's not real. It's made up. He's imaginary. Someone can just use that answer, just that quick. There is no God because he's your imaginary friend. He ain't real. If you think he's real, I need you to demonstrate how. Not with rhetoric, not with a truth table, not with a series of videos from Greg Bonson or William Lane Craig. I need you to demonstrate how this thing that you're talking about is anything other than something that lives under your bed or in your closet and talks to you when you're scared on airplanes.
Like, okay, so here, like, okay, I guess I can't say that there is no God. It's in like maybe there is like a computer player that actually is playing the world, but like the Christian version of God, it's
Poji, listen to me.
I mean, why the fuck did this guy like hate?
I was going to wrap this up soon, but I was listening to this while I was working, and this, I do want to play it all the way to the end. So there's an interesting comment that I want to, well, no spoilers.
Poor country so much, but he really loves rich country.
Poji, listen to me. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've talked with hundreds, if not a couple of thousand atheists over 10 years.
How many times does he tell people this? I mean, the dude is like an NPC himself.
Everything you're saying is nothing new. However, what you are saying, although there's great emotion attached to it, does not hold water upon a careful philosophical examination. Okay?
Speaking of emotion, let's just all reflect on the emotion Darth was venting over the tearing apart of babies.
The fact, 1 minute you're an atheist, and then the next, oh, well, maybe there is. You need to make up your mind. Are you an atheist? An atheist denies that there is a God. Okay? So either you're going to affirm there's a God or you're going to deny it. Mm-hmm. Which is it?
Daddy, I don't think there is a God.
Okay. Well, sunshine.
Full applause for Poji. That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Why is there not a God?
Okay, because so I mean, maybe there really is like a computer player that's actually like playing this whole fucking game, but like, okay, what what I don't believe in.
I don't understand. I mean, I do understand this because a lot of people get thrown off by this because Darth always asks those three questions. One, why are you an atheist? Easy layup. He's going to accuse you of a fallacy by the time you give your reasons for it, but it doesn't matter. Why you're an atheist is your own thing. Own it, operate within it, tell him to take it on the arches if he doesn't like it. Second, how is it that there is no God? What the fuck are you talking about? How much time you've got? Right? Let's take an entire weekend to suss out the mechanisms of why there is or isn't a God, or how it is the case procedurally why there wouldn't be one. And then why isn't there a God? You mean what reasons why there couldn't be? What reasons why there shouldn't be? Asking these kinds of questions is designed to create more confusion rather than settle basic issues. And if you're trying to convert somebody to your thing, you might want to provide them with something that comes close to certainty, something Christians are supposed to traffic in. This isn't doing it. Darth Dawkins sucks at Christianity.
30 years old and you're talking like that?
Yeah, what I don't believe in is the idea that there's
I find it, I really am having great difficulty believing you're 30 years old.
Talking like what? He referred to him, I'm old enough to be your daddy. And he's over 60. So she uses this phrase and now she's the one being immature. Classic.
I'm 30 years old. I was born in Portland, Oregon. I'm 30 years old. Okay. Now listen, here's why I don't believe in any God, okay? Because like
she shouldn't have told them where she was born. She probably doesn't still live there. At least I hope she doesn't. Because otherwise that attack dog duct tape panel van vibe, that's probably heading its way out west. I don't know where Darth Dawkins lives. I'm pretty sure he's on America's Wang somewhere, Florida.
Like, or at least I don't believe in the God that I was raised to believe in, because like why the fuck does he care so much more about like America and Europe than he does about like Africa And like,
did you? Okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay. When you turned 18, did you vote?
Yeah, I voted for Obama.
Okay, so you voted for 12. Okay, now
twice.
You need to focus on the conversation. Okay, now
she just did. She answered your question, dickhead.
There is no God because, and keep it short.
He's not real. Short and sweet. I wish she used this answer, but she doesn't. And again, this was back in April.
Well, okay. Maybe there is a God, but the Judeo-Christian God is definitely not real.
Okay, so we're not really going anywhere. This talking with you is like a dog chasing its tail. You have an inability to focus, and you keep on repeating the same nonsense over and over again. Okay, everything that you're saying.
I mean,
listen to me. Everything that you were saying.
Can I ask you something?
Can I ask you to shut your mouth while I'm talking?
This is it. He has monopolized the majority of this conversation. She asked to ask a question like, I need you to shut your mouth so I can finish. Yeah. Daddy Dawkins got to get his point across again.
Can I ask you to fucking shut your mouth while I'm talking, bitch?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So.
Yes. Yeah. Can I ask you to shut your fucking mouth so I can talk, bitch? Yes. This probably put her on the troll list. I'm pretty sure there's a duct tape unspooling sound dedicated just for her now.
So you're just a little troll. Okay. See you later.
I'm not trolling, but
you're 30 years old. Your sexual attractiveness is waning.
That one. That comment. Parakeet can't get it. That's my conclusion about that comment. That sounds distinctly like negging. She's 30. That was his only contribution to this, other than the stupidity at the beginning. You're 30 years old. Your sexual attractiveness is waning. Is that exactly how we put it too?
Yeah. So you're just a little troll. Okay. See you later.
I'm not trolling, but
you're 30 years old. Your sexual attractiveness is waning.
Why is a Christian talking about the sexual attractiveness of an atheist? How is this germane to anything that they've talked about? Parakeet. If you would like to have a conversation with me, by the way, Parakeet, I would enjoy that. I find you uniquely distasteful, especially now. I hadn't watched this particular video all the way through. I ran across this comment when I watched it the second time today and saw that. You were a piece of shit. That is a uniquely shitty thing to say to a girl. It's a uniquely shitty thing to say to a guy. So,
yeah.
That
was 30 years old, a 14-year-old trapped in the body of a 30-year-old.
That went very wrong, very, very quickly.
Well,
I don't like doing this because it's a little bit superficial, but Goose's voice is cringe, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like, he just sounds like a toady. And the fact that he's like also curling around the legs of Daddy Dawkins, it completes an image for me.
I feel sorry for her because she's a 30-year-old female imbecile.
I think
she's not an imbecile. She's not. She might not be acquainted with a lot of philosophical stuff. She does have legitimate questions, and I think in terms of like what she's attempting to deal with in her explorations of faith and stuff like that are pretty typical for a lot of people. You, Darth Dawkins and company, fucked up an opportunity. You could have had a convert, but no, you needed to beat atheism and use her as an example. You could have actually spread the message of Jesus to her. Sorry, Jesus. But you didn't do that. You didn't even define him as the God that you needed her to agree with. I'm not exactly sure where these guys are getting this stuff from. And then Parakeet starts talking about her sexual attractiveness. That doesn't sound like a fruit of the Holy Spirit to me. It almost sounds like Parakeet's lusting after her. Parakeet can't get it.
You voted for Biden?
Is that even a question?
That's a given, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the knee slapping her. I bet she voted for Biden. Who fucking cares?
I'm pretty sure this is the Biden voter base, like pretty much all of
Could
it.
you imagine
Pretty sure Goose is not clever.
her and Biden having a conversation?
Okay, Christ is King is also not clever. Also, Christ is King. Darth Dawkins told you to shut up on a channel on your own server. Man up, nut up. This is what I want you to do, Christ is King. I want you to reach down your pants. If you're listening, reach down your pants and find your balls. I don't care how big they are or how small they are. I'm not going to go there. Find them, and I want you to grip them. Whichever hand that you've got down there, grip them in your fist. And I want you to give them a squeeze, and I want you to squeeze them hard until you pass out. And then when you come to, you'll remember that you're a man. And then I want you to kick Darth Dawkins out of your fucking server.
Say, why did you vote for Joe? Why in the world would you vote for Joe Biden? And she would respond, "What's wrong with you? Doesn't God tell us to love the demented?"
Oh, that sounds like too coherent of a response, Darth. You need to be more vague.
No, she. You know what? If she hadn't gone so over the top obnoxious, I would have let her stay. But she literally had the mind of a 14-year-old, and it's sad.
Literally, she had the literal mind. She literally had the mind of a 14-year-old. Explain, Darth. How?
Did you notice her? She had a complete inability to stay focused on the conversation.
No one noticed that because she stayed focused on it. She continued to answer your questions. She didn't answer them in ways that you liked, but she stayed focused. She stayed focused even after you went on that giant ass transcontinental detour through abortion rhetoric that you took her on. She stayed focused.
Yeah, that seemed kind of deliberate too.
Here she is upset about God letting children die in Africa, yet she gives the thumbs up to millions of babies being slaughtered.
What I was
Abortion is not the slaughter of infants. There's a categorical difference. These guys are wonky about this kind of stuff when it comes to theology. They don't give a shit about it when it comes to reality. Stunning.
going to ask her is if she thought there was a difference between a fertilized egg and a non-fertilized egg.
Well, clearly she didn't. But
I detect a trace of a Southern accent, so I'm just going to call that guy a Confederate and just dismiss everything he has to say. Yeah. Genetic fallacy? Check. Poisoning the well? Check. Is he a rebel piece of shit? Check, check.
By her statements.
Yeah, I know, and that was odd for a 30.
Yeah, I find great difference.
She was not trying to say that her eggs were fertilized. Dinguses. She was talking about the potential for life in every guy's load and in every woman's eggs, and they're perishable quickly. Life in that sense is cheap. She was attempting to make that point. She didn't get to because Darth kept strawmanning her.
Difficulty in believing that she's 30, but if she is, she really exemplified the mind of a 14 or 15-year-old, which is sad. By the way,
all of that was sad. Agreed. Anyway, folks, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for putting up with that. If anyone's interested in coming in, I can stick around live if anyone wants to come in while this is live and have a discussion if you've got questions. Otherwise, I can probably shoot over to a Discord server if you guys want to talk off air. That way nobody has to worry about, being live or anything like that. What I'll do is this. I'll leave it up to everybody. I will post the link to the StreamYard in our chat here. And if anybody would like to come in, you can ask questions or do whatever. Let me remove this. Otherwise, I'll give you guys a little bit of time to think about it. If you don't want to do that, I'm probably going to, I'll connect, I'll probably go over to, I've got my channel set up over at Rascal, who runs Rascal's Castle. Discord server was nice enough to give me a channel. When he comes in, I don't tell him to shut up. It's something that it's just a rule that I have for myself. But I might be over there. Put it up right now just in case. Let's see. I think they actually have something going on over there. I think they're talking. Oh God, they're talking to Mr. Batman. Yeesh. That guy is just full on poison. I was kind of interested in that. I think they're actually recording that, so I hope to check out that later. Mr. Batman, if any of you guys don't know, I actually caught him on a Christian discussion. He was talking with some nifty types and a few other people, and he was advocating that gay people need to be sent to camps and converted to Christianity and converted away from the homosexuality. And if it didn't work, well, I guess we'll have to click. Shik, whatever you do with shotgun noise or whatever. Yeah, he's sort of a proponent of that. So I'm not exactly sure what got him in, why Rascal's talking to him. I'm not sure what topic they're dealing with, but we'll see what happens there. All right, let's see. Get rid of that video. Oh, okay, I do have a few people popping up. Red Fang, welcome.
What up? Who's Mr. Batman talking to?
Mr. Batman is currently being hosted on Rascal's Castle Discord server.
What up?
He is.
Who's Mr. Batman talking to?
Mr. Batman is currently being hosted on Rascal's. A lag. I don't know if that's coming from me or if that's coming from me. It can't be coming from. Oh, okay. It might have been coming from Rob. He just dropped out. Mike, hello.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing all right. Yep.
All right, good.
And Peter, hello.
Jefferson, shut up.
Oh my God! Did I offend? What did I say? What did I say in the video that offended you? Tell me what it is, and I will repent.
I had to come into your channel to tell you to shut up because no one else does. It went well a bit at the start when you actually shut up, but then you started talking again.
Okay, so when StreamYard keeps me muted, that's when you clap.
Hey man, I just got here. What I miss?
Oh, sorry. No, at the beginning, I had some technical issues at the beginning with some video stuff, and one of the things I attempted to like switch around on like an audio feed. I think I muted myself, and then StreamYard wouldn't let it go. So
that's what happened. Okay,
Daddy, you need a producer, Daddy.
I know I do. Are you willing to be my producer, Daddy, Peter?
Oh, sure.
Okay,
sure.
We'll have to talk. We'll have to figure out the contracts for that or later. Do you still insist your contracts be signed in human blood?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I figured you were still channeling the dark arts when you did that.
And obviously the punctuation has to be done in sperm, otherwise we can't finalize the contracts.
I figured you were still channeling the. Sorry, Rob. You're still kind of echoing. I just muted you, but I didn't want to remove you.
Just turn off YouTube.
Yeah, we've got feedback coming through. We got an echo coming in through your side. So if you turn off YouTube, you should be okay.
My apologies, guys.
Yeah,
you're good.
You're fine. You're good. So, yeah. So anyway,
have to say, the woman calling him daddy, that was brilliant.
that was good. I like the way that she kind of turned that on him, especially after they tried to negate what she was saying. She's like, "Ew, that's gross. That was a weird way of saying it." And she was right. That was the way he said that was kind of fucked up. And I was like, "Oh, that's a creepy way to put it." And he's just like,
right.
"Wow, what do you mean? I'm old enough to be your father. I might even be old enough to be your grandfather." I'm like, even creepier, Darth. Stop digging. Jeez. Like,
I think who
dialogue.
Who was it that talks about her sexual attraction, Parakeet? I think that's what sent him spiraling down in all kinds of fantasies. And
probably.
That's why he made that comment.
Yeah, he's like, well, you're 30 years old. Your sexual attractiveness is waning. I'm like, first of all, what business is that of yours? And second, aren't you ostensibly a Christian? Like, aren't you like, why the fuck are you talking about how attractive she is? You
and a virgin? And a virgin?
Parakeet? I don't know if Parakeet advertises himself as a virgin. You might be
probably
thinking,
is.
He might not advertise himself as a virgin, but I think he might
just assume that he is. Tonelok is the guy that will do that. He'll change his username to 35-year-old virgin and proud with no eye, and everybody's just like, dude, what the hell? I think I told you about this before. He did a video where he was a happy birthday video for himself on YouTube, where he's like, I'm 30, like I think he was 33 at the time, 33 years old, and I've never had sex with a woman outside of marriage. I ain't married now, and I've never gotten STDs or given STDs to any woman, and I've never gotten any woman pregnant. Like,
he did not
of
do
course,
that. Please tell me he did not do that.
He did that, and I was like, and people commented, like Dragnot Silvis was one of the people that commented. He was like, okay, yeah, congrats, bro. And I got in there, and I responded. I was just like, dude, there's plenty of people who are sexually active who can also say that they've never contracted an STD, never spread an STD, never gotten anyone inadvertently pregnant. They practice safe sex. I'm not exactly like, of course you haven't had those things happen to you. You're not in the game, son. Like what? Like this made no sense. And he came back at me hard. He just kept like, no, you don't understand.
Phrasing. When you're talking about someone like that, you don't say he came back at me hard.
Yeah, you do. In this case, I think it's perfect. It's apropos.
But I gotta say this. Look. I'm pretty sure that Tone Log is a very handsome young man. I'm pretty sure he is.
Have you seen him?
No, I have not. But I'm just saying. He's probably a handsome young fella.
I mean, he's definitely young. I mean, he's only 35, right? But he keeps doing this kind of stuff where it's like, he jumps onto Discord servers and he's trying to tell people like, you know what, you sluts need to stop having abortions because you're tearing babies apart like gerbils at a pet store.
But I'm just saying, if he just gets rid of this mentality he has with Darth Dawkins, he can get it. He can get it.
Who tears gerbils apart in a pet store?
It was an example that he gave. Darth Dawkins gave the example like, do you think it's okay for somebody to take a hamster or a gerbil and tear its arms and legs off? And someone very appropriately mentioned in the comments like, does Darth think that hamsters and gerbils have arms and legs? Like, like, is there a distinction between that? I'm like, yeah, that's a good point.
I guess Darth's never been there when they've been feeding the boa constrictors.
You might laugh
he's
at
triggered.
that.
He's triggered.
You might laugh at that, Jefferson. But I was told quite recently that insects have 4 legs and 2 arms.
I mean, the ones in a bug's life do, but I don't know about in like the real world.
Right.
I mean, haven't you read the Bible that says that insects have 4 legs? So the other 2 obviously are arms.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
I wonder where he draws the line. Is killing insects? Am I committing murder if I'm slapping an insect, like a mosquito, on my arm? According, like anyone who tortures animals or like rips like arms or legs off, they're pretty much doing the same thing. We're committing murder when we're doing stuff like that.
People who come up with things like that, I'm always curious. Is that something they ever did? Because who the fuck
you
comes
need to
up
check their
with
backyard.
You're right.
See, I'm not sure if it's like anything they ever did. Most just what things they have heard, like hearing this from their pastor, their youth leader, whatever.
Not entirely sure.
Some of it is. I mean, I kind of wonder if maybe, given his age, Antonio might have gotten kind of pulled into like the whole purity culture thing. And depending on what, I know he's from the U.S., depending on what part of the U.S. that he's from, that could have influenced a lot of stuff for him. But like, from what I can tell, I don't know if he's, given the time that he spends on like Discord and stuff, I don't know that he's actually in any kind of like congregation or anything. And usually the trick with purity culture stuff is that if it's not being, if there isn't peer pressure, it doesn't usually really last that long, unless you end up at a point in your life where you just kind of become forever alone, quote unquote, sort of thing. So I kind of wonder if maybe, if you get to that point, and it's sad that can happen to a lot of people, but if it does happen, then you can end up using these kinds of Discord servers to sort of justify like, well, you know what, I am lonely, I'm not sexually active, but you know what, I'm pure. I got that going for me. And so
that's why
most ego.
That's when you adopt the name 30-year-old virgin.
Church.
I'm sorry, you guys were both talking at the same time. What'd you say, Red?
most of these Christians online, and especially on Discord, they don't go to a church. They consider Discord or YouTube their church.
Yeah, I think they're mostly doing fellowship here.
And themselves preachers.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. I think everybody that wants to come in is coming in. I'm going to take this offline. We can still talk. I'm going to stay on for a little bit. We can talk offline. But users are starting to drift, viewers are starting to drift away. So I think everybody that wants to come in can come in.
That's probably my fault.
It might be, Peter.
Damn it, Peter.
That's why we can't have nice chats.
This is my first stream. Come on, man.
No, it's fine. I don't like pushing them over 2.5 hours. So at this point, but yeah, no, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Rob, for coming on. It's nice to meet you guys both.
Sissy, have you seen the last stream that I was on Amy's channel?
You, Peter?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
10 hours.
Peter, I don't know how you. When do you sleep?
10 hours.
You need to quit drinking coffee and try sleep. It's a thing that humans need.
You have to go watch that. That was fun.
I should. Yeah, I'll try to check that out. I don't know. She's never done one that long before, has she?
No, we broke the record, and it was entirely my fault. I was a little bit giddy to talk to a Christian with some whole new ideas. Once you get saved, you can no longer sin. So you can murder and rape, and it's no longer sin.
That's an interesting concept.
Once saved, always saved.
That sounds a little stronger than that.
I'm going to give
this. That will explain Dawkins' behavior. Once you're saved, you can act like a total shit, and no one will say anything.
Oh, he's not being a shit in his own mind. Hang on, let me just do this. I'm going to sign off later, everybody. Thank you, everybody in the top chat and live chat that showed up to view. We're going to go offline. We're going to continue to chat, kind of in the background, a little afterglow.
We'll talk about everyone in chat.
Yeah, we're gonna say bad things about every one of you that didn't show up. Anyone didn't,
especially that tightness, Amos.
Yeah,
I did post the Discord link to Rascal's Castle, and they are currently having that. If you're on Discord, if you're interested in it, it is in the top chat. Click on that if you want to go over there and take a look at what they're doing. They're having a conversation with him. Trigger warning: Mr. Batman is not for the faint of heart. He's a little nuts.
I'd love to have a go at him.
I can't stress this enough. Mr. Batman does not speak for the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky or the fine folks in it. I would like to disassociate myself with him as much as humanly possible.
I was surprised. I was surprised when I found out that he was from New England. I was like, "Holy shit! This guy's from New England, talking like this, and not from Maine." Oh my god! Sorry. So, apologies to anyone from Maine. Anyway, have a good evening.
Who's faithful? Has an icon that is a Pornhub icon, except it says "cancel porn."
Is this someone in the chat?
On Discord.
On Discord. I don't know.
Hello, I own a religion server and we're very active and accept all religions. Would you be interested in joining?
Of course you would.
Well,
anyway,
obviously,
before this gets too off track, since everyone have a great night. Thanks for showing up and viewing. Like and subscribe, or don't, whatever. Also check out Tom Rabbit's channel, who I continue to mine for the infinite bonanza that is the stuff that comes out of Darth Dawkins' sound hole. Anyway, take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.